Good morning. It's John Gilkison, AeroStealth here. Today is Wednesday, February 22nd, 2023. And I wanted to shoot this short video on DC to DC charging for electric vehicles. I've seen a few YouTube videos on the subject. Apparently there's a company in Southern California that's producing these units. They're high-end units, and we don't have a lot of details on them yet. At least I don't. However, conceptually, the ideas occurred to me a long time ago, really. It's intuitively obvious that DC to DC charging for an electric vehicle would be more energy efficient because you wouldn't have the conversion losses of converting AC power to DC power in the inverter in your car. And it gets even worse than that. We have a 5.1 kilowatt solar photovoltaic array. And there's 20 panels. They're 255 watts each. It's an old system. It was installed in 2011, and it can produce up to around 4 kilowatts output on a good day. And part of the reason for that is each solar panel has its own microinverter. So already at the solar panel, you're converting DC into AC power before you're feeding it into the grid and my home. And then, let's say during the day, I'm saying, well, I'm producing all this solar power, so I plug it in my car. And then my EVSE takes this AC power, pumps it into the car, and the car converts it back to DC. So even if, let's say, both of these inverter systems were 90% efficient, you're down to 81% efficient right there. With two of them, 9 times 9 is 0.81. So what I wanted to do is just outline how the DC charging system might work in my situation with this 5.1 kilowatt solar panel array. So now there's basically 4 options. I have the EVSE that came with the car. It's 120 volt system, and it's also 240 volts, but mine only comes with a 120 volt plug, and I have to use an adapter to get it to operate at 240 volts. But anyway, it's 12 amps. So 12 amps times 120 volts, that's 1.44 kilowatts. That's its output. And it runs at 80% efficiency. Okay. So, that being the case, if I was charging my car from 20% to 80%, that's 60% of my battery. That's 39 kilowatts hours. It would actually take me 48.7 kilowatt hours to charge the battery from 20% to 80%. And that would be for 152 miles of range. And this is just something that I'm using the 3.9 miles per kilowatt hour that the car always reverts to when you reset the dash readout. So apparently GM thinks that's a good figure. Well, using that 120 volt EVSE, I'm coming out to 105 miles per gallon. And that's not good. That's below what the car is rated at. So, my other option is using the same EVSE at 240 volts. It's still being used at 12 amps, but it's twice the power. It's 2.88 kilowatts, excuse me. And it's then it's running at 90% efficiency. So there again, now at 90% efficiency, it's only taking me 43.3 kilowatt hours to charge the car from 20% to 80% for 152 miles of range. But now I'm up to 118 miles per gallon E, which is what the car is rated at basically for combined operations. So that's good. Now, if I'm charging during the day, let's say I have 5 hours of solar, and the solar system's outputting 4 kilowatts. Well, at 2.88 kilowatts, I'm easily underneath that. And so for 5 hours a day, I can charge the car using solar. And now, here's the kicker here. We got a off-peak rate of 4.7 cents a kilowatt hour. So we're better off using this off-peak rate because then all the solar output during the day is now displacing power I'm using in my home. And that power I'm using in my home would cost me 12 cents a kilowatt hour if I have to pay for it. But if any of the solar output displaces that, then I don't have to pay for it. So I'm better off using that and using a 4.7 cents kilowatt hour rate from midnight to 8 a.m. to charge my car. And that's what we do. However, there is a third option, and I don't have this EVSE, but I would like to get one because it would be really useful for travel, for opportunity charging. And that is they make a 240 volt 16 amp portable charger, and that would be 90% efficient also. Let me see where I have this here. Yeah, and it would produce 3.84 kilowatts of power, and it would only require 41 kilowatt hours to charge my car for 152 miles of range, and I would end up at 125 miles per gallon E. So let me see here. No, I'm giving you the wrong figures there. Now, hold on a minute. Okay, what I was doing was I went into DC to DC charging, figuring it was either 95% efficient or 97% efficient. So a DC to DC charging setup, going around all these inverters, 39 kilowatt hours would only take 41 kilowatt hours, and then I would be at 125 miles per gallon E. And if it was 97% efficient, it would only take 40.2 kilowatt hours, and I would be at 127.4 miles per gallon. So, so there you have it. It's a 21% improvement if I could go direct DC to DC at 97% efficient. It's a 21% improvement in my energy efficiency, and my MPGs jump all the way from 108 up to 105 miles per gallon up to 127 miles per gallon in this instance. So I know this is a lot of numbers. So what I did was I rigged up a quick graph just to show you. It's a bar graph. So I'm going to show it to you here. Now what we have is over here on this side of the page where my finger is, that's labeled in kilowatts. And it goes up to 10. And so, and on this side I have hours, where my thumb is right there. That's labeled in hours, and it goes up to 50 hours. So if I'm using the 120 volt system, it's going to take me 35 hours to charge the car. And I'm only, that's the output, 1.44 kilowatts, 35 hours. But over here, I'm using 7.68 kilowatts right here on the far right side of the page, but the time has dropped all the way down to about 6 hours. So one's blue and one's black, and the one on the right is time in each case. So you can see that there's many factors involved, and you can see how a 16 amp 240 volt system, EVSE, would help me utilize all the solar power I can. I could get the car charged in about 2 days' time. Because I'd be putting out 3.8 kilowatts. So it would take about 10 hours. So 5 hours each day. So that would be ideal if I was to try to do that and I wasn't on this off-peak rate. So there you have it. I think DC to DC charging for home use will become a thing someday. But our whole life is, our whole infrastructure has been set up around this AC power. And so, for example, in your home you have TVs, you have many electronic devices that have DC converters in them, and many of them operate off of DC power. And we have to take AC power into our house and then convert it to run these devices. And all of them would be more energy efficient if they could run off of DC power directly. And it would be really nice to have wiring in your house that was set up for DC outlets. Of course, there again, none of the devices you buy run off of DC power directly. They've made some in the past for camping and so forth. It's been a thing, but they're not routinely made or sold. So there you have it. That's all I wanted to get at. I think this efficiency thing is really important. A lot of people think, well, a 120 volt charger comes with a car, it's okay. Well, it's not. It's costing you several miles per gallon E, and it's also costing you a lot of time. It can take up to 50 hours to charge a car from, 10% to 90%, for example. We're talking 3.5 days or so, constantly charging your car. That's ridiculous. That's really not a viable option, except for people who don't drive very far on a daily basis, less than 30 miles. You're picking up 4 miles per hour, so in 10 hours you can charge for 40 miles. So yes, that does work, but it's really not an ideal situation, and it wastes energy and it costs you more money. That's why I like 240 volts. And a 240 volt 16 amp charger for traveling with could really work. It also has a plug that plugs into 120 volts. 120 volts, but it's, I think at that juncture, well, it's 16 amps, but it's a little more power, but you'd have to be careful what circuits you put it on. But the car only allows you to charge at 12. So, my car, so that wouldn't work. So the 240 volt at 16 amps would work because the car would allow it. And it would literally double my charging speed and cut my time in half when I'm opportunity charging out on when I'm traveling. So I'll let you go right there. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.